Where do the world's greatest ideas really come from? Today, we'll explore the hidden rituals of creativity. From John Cleese, discipline of play, to David Lynch deep dives into consciousness, Eminem's notebooks with shifts, Einstein's long walks, and Le Corbusier's geometry of solitude. What do comedy, meditation, architecture, movies, and music have in common with UX design? Everything. Hi, this is UX for Solutions show and I'm your host, Sebastian Czarnecki. Join me as we uncover how the next big UX idea can be found somewhere between silence, structure, and a little uniqueness. For too long, the search for revolutionary user experience design ideas has been relegated only to the equivalent of expensive office rituals. The expectation is simple: gather a cross-functional team, hire a charismatic facilitator, and deploy the time-honored instruments of creative freedom. To move beyond the discipline of sprint rituals and catch the true big idea, one must first master the art of John Cleese and the discipline of play. Creativity as a state of operating, not a talent. John Cleese outlined a structure for achieving a creative state, emphasizing that creativity is not an innate talent but a way of operating. Cleese argued that individuals operate in two primary modes: the closed mode, which is necessary for execution, applying oneself to tasks with vigor and concentration, and the open mode, which is more relaxed to creative thinking. To cultivate the open mode, Cleese proposed four essential factors that can be arranged to create a walled garden, a protected space for creativity. Space. This requires creating an oasis free from usual organization pressures. If one is constantly pinged to urgent tasks, playful creativity cannot appear. Session length. The creative session must be the mark for a specific duration. Cleese suggests that it takes about 30 minutes simply to calm the mind and shift from closed to open mode, leaving a full hour for productive play. A necessary 90 minutes commitment. Persistence. This involves tolerating the discomfort and anxiety of not having solution and being prepared to patiently ponder a problem longer. Creativity rewards the person who keeps their mind resting against the subject in a friendly but persistent way.
Getting into the open mode, nothing will stop you being creative so effectively as the fear of making a mistake. Now, if you think about play, you'll see why. True play is experiment. What happens if I do this? What would happen if we did that? What if? The very essence of playfulness is an openness to anything that may happen, a feeling that whatever happens, it's okay. So you cannot be playful if you're frightened that moving in some direction will be wrong, something you shouldn't have done. I mean, you're either free to play or you're not. As Alan Watts puts it, you can't be spontaneous within reason. So you've got to risk saying things that are silly and illogical and wrong, and the best way to get the confidence to do that is to know that while you're being creative, nothing is wrong. There's no such thing as a mistake, and any drivel may lead to the breakthrough. And now, the last factor, the fifth, humor. Well, I happen to think the main evolutionary significance of humor is that it gets us from the closed mode to the open mode quicker than anything else.
The fourth factor is confidence, underpinned by the understanding that nothing will stop you being creative so effectively as the fear of making a mistake. True creative freedom requires the abandonment of the censor's internal critic. The difference between incremental design and breakthrough inventions lies not in the skill, but in the willingness to tolerate the emotional discomfort of not having an immediate answer. The easy solution is tempting because it ends the temporary anguish of uncertainty. David Lynch and a deep dive. Where John Cleese focused on structuring the environment for creativity, filmmaker David Lynch focused on structuring the mind. Lynch provides a powerful metaphysical framework for idea generation, comparing ideas to fish. If you want to catch a little fish, you can stay in the shallow water. But if you want to catch the big fish, you got to go deeper. The big fish are defined as more powerful and more pure, huge and abstract. They reside at the deepest level of consciousness, which Lynch links to the unified field in modern physics.
And then, about 30 years ago, modern science, quantum physics, discovered the unified field. The unity of all the particles and all the forces of matter, of creation. Not only did they discover the unified field, but they found that everything that is a thing emerges from this field of no thing. Unmanifest it is. Unmanifest. It is no hyphen thing, but all things come from it. Anything that is a thing has emerged from this field of unity. It's oneness. The scientists know this exists, but if they wanted to get there, you can't get there. It's unmanifest. You can't walk into this field. But any one of those scientists could practice a technique, transcendental meditation, which, remember, true happiness is not out there. You're given a mantra, a very specific sound, vibration, thought. Very specific. It needs to be life-supporting at all deeper levels. And that mantra that you're given, that Maharishi gives, the key that opens the door. The mantra turns the mind within, turns the awareness within, and you naturally dive. Why is it natural? Because each deeper level of mind and each deeper level of intellect has more happiness. And the deeper levels of mind and deeper levels of intellect correspond to deeper levels of matter. At the borderline of intellect, you transcend. Transcend is the key word. It means to go beyond. You're going beyond field of relativity, duality, experiencing oneness. Pure, unbounded, infinite consciousness. This consciousness has qualities: infinite creativity, intelligence, energy, love, power, and bliss. Dynamic peace. Always been there, never had a beginning. It is and it will be forever.
Lynch advocates for transcendental meditation as the technique to dive within, allowing the mind to settle into a state of restful alertness. This expansion of consciousness enables the artist to reach deeper and catch bigger ideas. Ideas rarely arrive fully formed. Lynch notes that they are being delivered as fragments. For example, the film Blue Velvet began with the fragmented thought of red lips, green laws, and the Bobby Winton song. Lynch suggests that desire for the idea acts as the bait. Eventually, that fish will naturally draw in another fish, building into a completely comprehensive concept. Lynch's argument presents a profound challenge to corporate UX. Accessing the unified field requires dedicated practice and separate from material concerns. Managers are keen to fund brainstorming sessions, sticky notes, and expensive collaboration software, but they are significantly less willing to pay an employee to sit quietly for an undefined period, waiting for a huge and abstract idea to surface. Einstein, walking and the cognitive circuit breaker. Albert Einstein was famously known for his daily walking routine. His commitment embodied the philosophy that ideas often surface away from the desk. Research confirms that walking is a simple, robust solution that significantly boosts creative iteration. Walking appears to reduce neural activity in certain areas of the brain, effectively calming the thoughts and granting access to creative thoughts otherwise buried by urgency. The effectiveness of the walk can be explained through the concept of mental state separation. When work and conceptual breakthrough occur at the same location, the office desk, the brain sensory system filters and suppresses novel ideas. The act of walking acts as a necessary physical cognitive boundary, creating a divide between the work and the environment and the thinking environment. This allows the brain to transition from the active absorption of data into a relaxed state where ideas can connect unconsciously. Le Corbusier and the geometry of isolation, the architect as monk of modernism. Where Lynch dove inward and Einstein walked outward, Le Corbusier built walls around himself, literally and conceptually, to engineer creative solitude. This modernist architect discipline bordered on ritual. Each morning began at the dawn with silence, drawing and black coffee without sugar. By isolating himself from the noise of the city, he created an environment of strict order and personal monastery for invention. His creative process was neither spontaneous nor chaotic. It was architected. Le Corbusier believed that the structure, not the freedom, generates originality. His modular system, a mathematical harmony based on the proportions of the human body, wasn't just a design tool, but was a mental framework. It constrained thought so that imagination could focus, not scatter. He once wrote, "I prefer drawing to talking. Drawing is faster and leaves less room for lies." In UX terms, Corbusier represents the geometry of constraint, creativity that emerges not from brainstorming, but from reducing the field of possibility until the clarity appears. His cabanon, a micro house built for his own vacations, measured exactly 3.6 on 3.6 meters, a physical manifestation of the creative boundary. With those few cubic meters, he produced some of his most innovative sketches. If Lynch's big fish swim in the depths of abstraction, Corbusier got all his ideas by draining the pond, removing everything unnecessary until only the essential remained. In 1995 and 1996, the Great Plague forced the closure of Cambridge University, sending the 24-year-old student into an indefinite self-isolation period at his family estate. This forced retreat is now famously known as his Annus Mirabilis, Year of Wonders, and the student was Sir Isaac Newton. Eminem has often spoken about carrying notebooks filled with disconnected words, half rhymes, broken syllables and phonetic ideas, thousands of tiny linguistic components captured in the moment before they evaporate.
I write and write till I can't, till my brain hurts, and I write every day. I'm always able to go back in my book and have unlimited ideas. Sometimes I just write my rhyming words down and not the stuff in between, so that it can't be put together if someone finds it. If anybody ever finds it, they're not going to be able to decipher the puzzle.
These fragments are not verse, they are not even ideas, they are raw materials, modular creative atoms waiting to be combined into something new. He calls them his scribbles, but they function much more like a prototype library. Each entry is an isolated interface element, a button that doesn't yet belong to a screen, a component without a layout, a feature without a flow. Eminem doesn't wait for the inspiration to deliver a full, clean concept. He collects micro insights long before he knows where they gonna belong. The act of writing is not the moment of creation, it's the moment of capture. He inverts syllables, stretches vowels, compresses meaning, shifts cadence, like a UX designer experimenting with UI states, checking how small changes alter flow and impact user experience. If Cleese cultivates openness, Lynch dives within, Einstein walks without, and Corbusier design constraints, Eminem reminds us of the final truth. Sometimes the next big UX idea isn't being discovered, it's assembled. Conclusion. The next generation of breakthrough ideas is not going to be outcome of only streamlined management processes. Hybrid with international separation and cognitive boundary setting can be the answer. Conclusion is that the breakthrough may arrive on during the mandated brainstorming session, but also during the walk, in the meditation, or the quiet moment when giving up. The next great UX idea is already out there. The task is simply to stop working long enough to catch it. That's it in today's episode. Please subscribe if you like my videos. You can check my Instagram account here where I share my design and other ideas and inspirations. Hope you enjoyed this episode and see you in the next one.